This is Gemara Yevamos, the Daf Zayin. All the learning should be incredible. Shidduch for Yisrael Chaim ben Devaira, Shlomo ben Levi, Zava, Ofik ben Teli, Shema ben Chayo, Chavim Miriam, Babas Chaya Pesel. They should all find the Shidduch Hagen Bekarav, as well as the Shir Shvias Chutz for Shlema, Shal Yosef ben Yeveda, Shlomo Matil, Nalzim Mechlester, Nechama Bas Riva, Nasheva Feigo Bas Ashira Chana, B'Sayir Sha'ar Chali Yisrael, as well as the Chutz. There's Chayama V'Kayama for Alana Bash Shana Malko. We're picking up towards the bottom of Tezvav Amid Beis. If you're looking in front of you, you'll see we scrolled up a little bit on the page just to get back into the story. About 12 lines down, we started a brace that said, Shalu is Rabbi Yeshua, Saras Habaz Ma'u, what is the din? He said, Tamach like is Beis Shammai Beis Hillel. And how do we pass? And he said, I don't want to get involved. I'm afraid they're going to crush me. I don't want to get involved. But I'll tell you, Eidos, that there are two families from the Tzarais, and they are Kohanim right now. And now the Gemara is trying to figure out whether this is a raya that Beis Shammai indeed held like, and did like the Paskind or not. So the Gemara said, Bishlama, Yamar Bishlama also had a Mizyarani. If Beis Shammai did like their Shita, makes sense. Yamar Lo Asa, my cover Mizyarani. Says the Gemara, Ninami Dasu, my Mizyarani, and even if they did like their Shita, what's the fear of Shumi Mamzer Chavi Bisis Bezdin? Explains the Gemara, Ninami the Mamzer Lo Have, Pagum Mia Have, Mikal V'Chayim Almana, the kid's going to be a Pagum, tainted cannot marry a koyin. Ma'almana sheni sur naig b'chol. Bana pagum zushi sur shava b'kol. Certainly the child will be a pagum, and that is the reason why he was afraid. Says the Gemara, they asked the din about the tzaros, the din the machlokes Beis Shammai Beis Hillel, and he's responding about the children. Tarti kabamine tzaros mai vindim zolaymar tzaros Beis Hillel b'nei tzaros Beis Hillel Beis Shammai mau is what is the din of the children of the tzaros according to Beis Shammai? Says the Gemara, and this is really where we're going to pick up about 8 lines from the bottom. Lamaynaf kamina. Who cares? We don't paskin like Beis Shammai. So why are we so concerned? What does Beis Shammai hold? Explains the Gemara, Lemifshat Vlad Machzik Gushasel Beis Hillel. In the case of Machzik Gushasel, which we've spoken to at length, if someone gets divorced, he's allowed to remarry his divorcee so long as she did not marry elsewhere. If she married elsewhere, then there's an Isser Lav for him to go back and marry her. So says the Gemara, we want to know the din over here. What is this din with the Ben Sarah? Why? Because that will tell us what is the status of a child born from a forbidden union of Chayvei Lavin, and then we'll know what is the story of Machzik Gushasai according to Beis Hillel. So says the Gemara, Mikar mina kal v'chaymer. Do we say such a kal v'chaymer? Uma amana l'koyin gadol sheini sur shavah b'kol. The case of Amana is not an Isser that applies to everyone. It's an Isser only on a Kohen Gadol. So how can we learn from there to everyone else? Do we say such a Kalva Chaimer, or Idomor, perhaps we could ask, Malamana Shiatza Mischaleles. But maybe Almana is different, says the Gemara. You know why Almana is different? Because when Almana is over this Isser, when Almana marries a Kohen Gadol, which is forbidden, she herself becomes a Chalala, she herself becomes Asa Likuna. So maybe you can't learn from this case because it's a very stringent case that she herself becomes Aser, whereas other cases, not. And Rabbi Yeshua responded, and again Rabbi Yeshua going back, and this is the whole story, trying to figure out what is the din by Tzaras Abbas, to be possibly Beis Shammai or not. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yeshua said, I won't tell you the din about Tzarais. I'm afraid to get involved in this massive machlekes Beis Shammai Beis Hillel that I'm not going to talk about. However, B'nei Tzarais, as we turn over to today's Daf Zayin Amud Aleph, says the Gemara, Animei lachem, that I will tell you. I'll tell you about 2 families in which we have tzarais who did not do chalitza, like the opinion of Beis Hillel, and it came from them Kohanim Gedailim. So says the Gemara Tashema, final raya of Mir of Daisy ben Urkanis, Hoiteres are Zabas La'achim. Says the Gemara, they allowed the Tsar Zabas to the brothers, seemingly like Beishamai. Shema Mina also Shema Mina. The Gemara concludes with a raya that obviously Beishamai did, according to their own opinion, as we're seeing over here, clearly they allowed the tzara of the Erva to marry the brother, even without Yibam or Chalitza, like the opinion of Beis Shammai. So clearly Beis Shammai did not only paskin that, not only hold that way ostensibly in Svara, in Sugya, but rather Beis Shammai actually did such halacha lemaisa. So says the Gemara Gufa, 3 lines down. Let's go a bit deeper into this brayso of Rav Deisa ben Hurkanis. Let's understand what happened and how it happened. Gufa says the Gemara of Amir of Deisa ben Hurkanis is here, like we just said, they allowed the tzara of the erva to marry the brothers without any yibam or, with Yibam to marry the brother. And now the Gemara explains, the Chachamim were bothered by this. Why? Because his eyes did not work anymore. He was a great chacham. And he didn't come to Beis Medrash anymore. And they wanted to ask this Rav Deisa, what's pshat? Why are you basking like Beis Shammai? So Amru the chachamim said, who could go? Who could go and tell Rav Deisa ben Hurkanis that we don't hold like you. We don't hold like Beis Shammai. We don't hold that you're allowed to do Yimar Chalitza to the tzara of the Erva. So Amr Lahan, they said, Rabbi Yeshua, I will go. And who's going to come along with Rabbi Yeshua? And who's going to come along with him? Rabbi Kiva. So these 3 Greek Gedolim, Rabbi Yeshua, Rav Elazar ben Azariah, and Rabbi Kiva, all set out to Rav Deisa ben Hurkanis. They went, and they stood at the door of his house. The maidservant came out, Amra Allah, and she said to that, Amra Allah, Rabbi, they told Rav Deisa ben Hurkanis, the Chachamim are here for you. Amar Allah, so Rav Deisa ben Hurkanis responds, Yikansu, bring them in. They brought him in, Rav Yeshua, Rav Deisa ben Hurkanis takes Rav Yeshua, and puts him on a golden bed, the wonderful honor given to Rabbi Yeshua. Amar later, Rabbi Yeshua says, Rabbi, what about the other Talmidim? Tell the other Talmidim that they can sit as well. So Amar Loi, again, Rav Deisa ben Hurkanis couldn't see so well. So he says, Me, who's other Talmid of Rav ben Azariah? He responds, Amar Rav Yish Loi ben Azariah Chaveirenu. Does Ben Azariah have a son? Kara love Amikra says of Deisa ben Hurkanis, his age, he didn't know that his old friend Ben Azariah had a child. Now Raisi comes a kantiv Larisi starting Nazav Zaroi Mivakish Lachem. So if Deisa ben Hurkanis said about himself, he's never seen such a righteous, he didn't realize that he had such a child. So Tavsu, he grabbed him Ashua Mita Shalzav, and he put him also on a golden bed. Amr Lei Rabbi. So Yeshua said to him now, says to Rav Deisa Rebbe, there's a third Talmud here. Tell him to go sit down. Who's the third Talmud? Akiva ben Yosef. Akiva ben Yosef. Are you really the famous Akiva ben Yosef? That you have your name, your wonderful name goes. Shave, b'ni, shave. Sit, my son, sit. Like you, here be Israel. There should be many more people like you. Akiva ben Yosef. So finally, these 3 tremendous Gedolim, Rav Elazar ben Azariah, Rabbi Kiva, and Rabbi Yeshua are all sitting in front of the Rebbe, Rav Deisa ben Hurkanis. They started discussing different halachas of Rav Deisa ben Hurkanis. Till they got to the point that they came. What is the din about Tzar Zabas? Amrulai. So these 3 Gedolim said to Rav Deisa ben Hurkanis, Tzar Zabas Mau. What's the din? Of course, they knew that Rav Deisa ben Hurkanis is like Beis Shammai. They're waiting for him to say it's mutter. Amr Lahan, Rav Deisa ben Hurkanis responds, Machlokes Beis Shammai Beis Hillel. So they said, okay, but halacha the me would be basking like. Amr Lahan, halacha ki Beis Hillel. And now they're shocked. They're waiting to say halacha like Beis Shammai. Amr Lei, they said, V'alei Mishimcha Amru, but in your name they said, halacha ki Beis Shammai. Amr lehem, Daisa shamatem, Oy ben Horkenes shamatem. What precisely did you hear? And we see from here, it's not a new thing, people misquoting Rabbanim, Baiskim. He said, what did you hear? Did you hear Daisa? Or did you hear in the name of Ben Horkenes? So Amrullah, they responded, Chai Rabbi B'leif of Rabbi Stam Shamanu. We heard it Stam, meaning we just heard Ben Horkenes. We did not hear necessarily, specifically, it was you, Rav Daisa Ben Horkenes. So Amr Lahem, Rav Daisa Ben Horkenes responds, Ach Katan Yesh, I have a younger brother. Bachar Satanu. He was always fought with me over everything. V'Yonasan Shamo, his name is Yonasan. V'Umet Talmidei Shammai, he's a Talmud of Shammai. V'Eziru Sh'Yikabech Eschem, and I'm warning you, do not get involved in a fight with him. Do not talk halach with him. He'll cut you down, chop you down. He has 300 answers. B'tzaras Abbas Shimutares. He has 300 explanations why he is right. That B'tzaras Abbas, we go like Beis Shammai. Avo, but says if there's been Horkenes, Meirani, I'll give you testimony. Like Shamayim v'Haaretz. Shamaducha zu Yoshev Chagai Hanovi on this maducha on this mortar. Chagai Hanovi said, "V'Omar Shloisha Dvarim," and he taught us 3 things. And the Mefarshim explained it wasn't really Chagai; it was said over B'Shem Chagai because there were many generations later. Tzaras Abbas Asura din number 1. Amanumar Master Meiser Ani B'Shvi is din number 2. Umekavlin Gerim Mina Kordayin Umina Termidim number 3. Now the latter 2 halachos about Amanumayiv and Shvita etc. Kordayim, we'll get to in a few moments. But we see clearly, says Rav Daisa Ben Horkenes, we paskin Saras Abbas is Asura. We paskin, that was what Chaggai Zechariah and Malachi taught us. So Tana, says the Gemara, finishing off the story, when these 3 Gedolim came in, Rishuvah ben Azar and Rav Akiva, they all walked in through one door. They went out 3 separate doors. Paga Abai Rav Akiva, and Rav Akiva was the one that bumped into Yonasan, this Yonasan, that they were warned about, that had so many taruts and make sure and he got the better of them. Omar Loi, Ato Akiva Shejim Chalich, you're the Akiva, Ashrecha shezachisa l'sham. V'adayin, but yet says Yonasan, lo yigat to the roye bakar. You didn't even reach the place of the roye bakar, the sheep herders. Amar lo, Rabbi Akiva was enough, and he responded, Rafil roye tzayin. I didn't even reach roye tzayin. Now, just interesting to point out, why did they leave through 3 separate doors? 2 different pshatim. Either pshat was they want to make sure that they bumped into Yonasan. So even though when they came in through one door, they purposely spread out to ensure that someone will bump into this Yonasan. Or the other shot is the exact opposite, is that they were nervous if they all were together and they bumped into Yonasan, he might win them over. But if they're 3 separate fights, 3 separate doors, 3 separate battles, they knew eventually they would win. And that's the end of this discussion of the Tzaras Abbas. What is the story? We see clearly we are not paskening like Beis Shammai. But now we go into the other 2 dinim. There have been Horkenes said over the name of Chagai. Amanu Maya Ma'aser Meiser Ani B'Shvius. They would take on Meiser Ani on Shemitah, which we're in a Shemitah here right now. We know there is no Meiser Ani in Eretz Yisrael on Shemitah. There's only Shemitah. Everything is Hefker. So why we're Aman and Maya busy taking off Meiser Ani on Shemitah? So explains the Gemara, Damar Mar, Harbe Krachim Kavsu Ele Mitzrayim. There are many cities that those who went out from Mitzrayim conquered, V'lo Kavsu Ele Bavel, but later on, those who came up from Bavel did not conquer. V'ketshuna Rishayna Kitchel Shaita, V'loi Kitchel Asalavi. And the original making of holiness after the Ele Mitzrayim did not last forever. So therefore, when they subsequently came down after they were in Bavel, if they did not reach that area, did not remain with the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael, and they left this specific area of Amun Umayav. Why? So that it would not be called part of Eretz Yisrael. If it's not part of Eretz Yisrael, there's no din Kedusha Shvius. If there's no din Kedusha Shvius, now the Aniyim will get their manas Aniyim, etc. Mekavlin Geirim, excuse me. So now the Aniyim will get the appropriate test, so Niyam will get the Meiser Ani, din number 2. Now, din number 3 that they said over was Mekavlin Gerim and Kardim or Tamridin, that they accepted Gerim from these two places, Kardim and Tarmidim. Ask the Gemara, Aini, is this true? Vatani Rabbi Rechaskel, Ein Mekavlin Gerim and Kardim, Amar Ravashi, Kartiyam Itmar. We're talking about Kartiyam, not Kardim. K'dam Riinchi, Kartiyam, Pesulim. Kartiyam are the ones that are possible. Vikati Amri, another lashon. Tani Rabbi Rechazkel in Megamli Gerim Min HaKartiyim. Oh my love, I knew Kartiyim. And on this, Amar Ravashi Loi, Kartiyim Lechod, Kidamri Ichi Kartiyim Psili. They are different peoples. The Kartiyim are the ones that are possible. But Rabbi Yochanan comes along, and Rabbi Yochanan argues, and he says, 3 lines from the bottom, Usab Rabbi Yochanan Visabya. It's another person's name. Damri Tarvayu Ein Mekamli Gerim and Tarmidim. We do not accept Gerim from the Tarmidim. Says the Gemara. Does Rabbi Yochanan really say this? But any kesem, any stain, any soiled garment that comes from a place called Rekem is tar. Rav Yehuda mitame. What's going on over here? Gerim. The reason being because they were Gerim. However, Gerim. We read this all wrong. Let's go back one more time. Gerim. The reason why they're Tameh, because they were from Rekem, these people were Gerim, but they made mistakes. That stains that came from the Goyim are Tahar. Fine. So we have a Bryce, and we're trying to figure out whether these Gerim, what their status is. Says the Gemara of Avina and Bon, we ponder on this Bryce as we turn over to Tezayim Abayz, Kabasik Vetani, the Mishnah explained, Mi Bein Akum. It just said that you have a stain from the Goyim, it's Tar. Va'afilu min Tarmoid. And this seems to explain that even from a place called Tarmoid. So what do we see? We see that those from Tarmoid are Goyim from the fact that we see that there are stains. We're assuming are tahar, because obviously the dam of a guy is not tamei. From here we see that we accept gerim from tarmoid, and that is the end of this brisa. So what do we see? This is the stira. Rav Yochanan here is saying zoyse meres we accept gerim. Where's the number alf? On the bottom, what did Rav Yochanan teach us? We do not accept gerim from tarmoid. Says the Gemara, maybe you'll say, maybe Rabbi Yochanan is just saying over this din about the soiled garments, but he himself doesn't hold that way. Can't say that. And this is a Mishnah, so explains the Gemara. We have 2 ways of learning whether they were Gerim or not, whether they're going to be Tameh or Tar or not. Now, once we're on this topic of these places, Tarmoi, Tarmidim, etc., we go a bit deeper. Now, the Gemara wants to know, what is the reason, why are we not accepting Gerim from this place called Tarmoi? So says the Gemara 5 lines down to Zayin Mabeis Mitar Moed, my time aloi. What is the reason we're not accepting Gerim from this place called Tarmoid? Pligibar Rav Yochanan v'Sabia. Machlokes Chadam Rishamav Deishleimah v'Chadam Risham Benois Yushalayim. 2 different reasons which the Gemara will explain right now. Because Savar, you know why they didn't accept Gerim? O Akum ve'Eved Abal Bas Yisrael Avlan Mamzer. Shloimeh HaMelech and his army had Goyish servants, and these Goyish servants, due to their wealth, were able to attract Yiddish ladies, able to attract Jewish girls, and they went and they slept with them. But what is the status of that union? So says the Gemara, Akum, the Eved, which are the servants of Shloimeh HaMelech, when they are with Abbas Yisrael, the Vlad is going to be a Mamzer. So according to that opinion, it makes a lot of sense that we did not accept Gerim from this place called Tarmoid. But what's the other opinion that says we don't accept Gerim from Tarmoid? Because of the Benois Yushalayim. What are the Benois Yushalayim? have anything to do with Tarmoid? Explains the Gemara, Pliba Rav Yosef Rabbanan. 4 lines of the white lines. We have a machlekes. What was the history over here? The first meeting says there were 12,000 footmen and 6,000 archers. There were 12,000 footmen, amongst them 6,000 archers. And what happened? When the Goyim came to destroy the base of Mikdash, Rachmana litzlan, they went into the Eichel. Nifnu hakol, nifnu al kezav v'zof. Everyone, what do they go and loot? The gold, the silver. But where do they go? They went to the girl. So the Goyim went, they violated these Jewish women, and therefore the resulting children are mamzerim. And where do they live? They live in this place called Tarmoid. So we're not going to accept the people of Tarmoid as Gerim for the fact being that they are really Yidden, they're Jewish, but they're Mamzerim. So Geirus is not going to help. Geirus helps a guy to become part of Klal Yisrael. But if we have a Yid who sleeps with a guy and has a child, that child is a Mamzer, that Mamzer can't be Megayer. Explains the Gemara, and that's the end of these 2 reasons why the people from Tarmoid we do not accept as Gerim. But now, for a few moments, the Gemara goes backwards. And in Amud Aleph, we quoted a few psukim in which we're going to begin darshaning now, and we'll continue into tomorrow's shir. Amar Rav Shmuel Nachmeni, Amar Rav Yonis and pasuk says, Sara Olam Amru. This pasuk that we're about to quote, the Sar, the minister of the world, said it. Nar Isi Gam Zekanti Man Amre. Are you going to tell me Hashem himself said it? Mika Zikna Kamei. What does it mean? Nar Isi Gam Zekanti. I got old. Hashem doesn't get old. Well, David Amru, you're going to see David Melch said it. Mikashish Kulei Hai. Was David Melch so old? David Melch only lived to the age of 70. So what's the big deal that he says Nar Isi Gam Zekanti? Lo Isi, I never saw a tzaddik that forsaken the right way. What's the big deal? Elishma Mina Sara Olam Amru. But says the Gemara, you know what it must mean? There was an angel that's been around from the creation of the world, and he said that he never saw a real tzaddik that forsook the Torah. What is the meaning of the pasuk? Yodav Aparash Sar Al Kol Machamadel. The enemy spread out the hands over all the Machamadel, all the treasures. When the Goyim came into the Eichel, I called them the Al-Kazav. Everyone's going to jump on the silver and gold. Nifnual Sefer Torah. Amru Zesh Agasabai. This that is written in El Yevamos Mavi B'Kal Hashem. So people in Ammon Moav, they pounced on the Sefer Torah, saying this Torah says that we Ammon and Moav can never be part of Klal Yisrael. Yisarav Ba'esh, they wanted to burn it in a fire. Siva Hashem Liyakov Sviva Tzarav. Now, actually, that's the next pasuk. So that's where Ammon and Moav went, and they destroyed the Torah. Says the Gemara, and we'll conclude with this: Hashem the Yaakov Svivav Tzarav Hashem made a Gzeira about Yaakov. That what Amar Rab Kiyoin Homnia Lepom Nara. It's referring to a place called Homnia. The way that they act towards the Yidden of Pom Nara, the Greeks that they persecuted the Yidden in Pom Nara. And now we're going to stop over here. Tomorrow we're going to get a little bit deeper, in which we really touched upon Derech Agav. It was almost a sidebar of today's shir, in which we started getting involved in what is the status of a Jewish girl that's together with a guy as a child. Is that child actually a mamzer? Is that child a yid? The child a guy? We'll see that tomorrow, b'siyata, the next shir from Amar Rav Yudah, Amar Rav Asi, b'siyata d'shmaya.